What's dangerous is when the universe pick you and you put on the magic glasses. There's rules that go with them. You can never take them off. You never see things as they're supposed to be. You see things as they are. And you can never force nobody else to wear them.
I think while I awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I feel well, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. We're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate at night are wearing me out.
Good evening. Has none of these churches ever heard of something called Sodom and Gomorrah? I'm just a bit confused at how there can even be a debate in the churches. It just, I don't even begin to understand how you can misunderstand the word that much. Just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, right? They laid it all out right there. I mean, you do not need anything more. It's just insane. It's not just that. Of course, you know about stuff with the stores. Now, supposedly, and I'll be talking about it here, it's the second article. Supposedly, Target was targeted, pun intended, with bomb threats. So, it's just whack. Just whack. Russia made a significant strike on Ukraine last night. So, there's that. And, well, I'm here. So, I don't have any kind of a speech, and I normally don't for Memorial Day. But I think it's pretty obvious how we should feel and, what we should do. In my opinion, it's not about barbecues and drinking beer. It's about remembering the fallen. And, that's the important part. I would really, really highly encourage those that have not to go watch the Glenn Beck video from today, his Memorial Day message. So I absolutely urge anyone and everyone to go watch that. It's just fitting, very fitting. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of updates. Haven't really been up to a whole lot. I did a little bit of flight simming today, checking out a few different new aircraft, and it is what it is. I enjoyed a flight over our town, and flew a glider over our town, so that was cool. But anyway, other than that, I don't have a lot really to talk about before we get to it. Might as well get to it. I do have, what do I have? 7 tabs open. So, and there was a couple I closed because they just I didn't want to have a ton of tabs, and they weren't that monumental. So anyway, I had to kind of shorten the title of the show because, try to get all that into a YouTube video title. Some worshipers switching congregations amid United Methodist split over LGBTQ issues. And again, I don't understand this because it's just like the Second Amendment. It's very clear. The Reverend Bill Farmer reached the point where he couldn't stay in United Methodist Church anymore, but the congregation he attended was staying. Michael Hahn always wanted to stay in the UMC, but his congregation was leaving it. Each has found new church homes, and they're not alone. Thousands of United Methodist congregations have been voting on whether to stay or quit one of the nation's largest denominations amid intractable debates over theology and the role of LGBTQ people. There are stark differences over recognizing same-sex marriage and ordaining LGBTQ clergy. I mean, it's insane. But the dividing line isn't just running between congregations. It's running right through the pews of individual churches, separating people who had long worshipped together. Those who come up on the short end of disaffiliation vote face the dilemma of whether to stay or go. The splintering, often grievous and tense, has spurred new initiatives to provide havens for the unmoored. Some United Methodist regional conferences have begun designating lighthouse congregations, ones that actively welcome people who wanted to stay United Methodist but whose former churches voted to leave. Other conferences use different names such as Beacon or Oasis, but the idea is the same. The pain is real, and there is a lot of grief and a lot of heartache over the split in the United Methodist Church, said the Reverend Linda Ferguson, the great-grandchild of circuit-riding Methodist pastor. Her North Carolina church, First United Methodist Asheboro, became a lighthouse congregation that assures newcomers that is committed to staying United Methodist, so they won't have to worry about another disaffiliation vote. More than 400 congregations have disaffiliated in North Carolina. Ferguson said she can personally relate to those from departing congregations. Her childhood church, the one that shaped her faith and where at age 12 she felt the call to ministry, also voted to leave. Part of the Lighthouse mission is to let people know the United Methodist Church is still here and still welcoming, said the Reverend Ed McKinney, pastor of Stokesdale United Methodist Church in Stokesdale, North Carolina, which also became a Lighthouse congregation. Michael Hahn and his family are among a group of newcomers who have begun participating in Stokesdale after their previous congregations left the denomination. Hahn, whose family has been Methodist for generations, said he couldn't imagine leaving the denomination which he values for blending faith and rationality. It's a place where I don't have to check my logic and reason at the door and blindly accept things. Hahn said he, his wife, and daughters have found a very warm and welcoming environment in the Stokesdale congregation, with people saying, "We're glad to have you here. We want to walk through this period with you." Many of the departing churches are joining the conservative Global Methodist Church created last year. Others are going independent or joining different denominations. While the Global Methodist Church doesn't have a program like the Lighthouse Initiative, it has begun launching or adopting congregations that can become homes for those who want to leave the United Methodist Church but whose congregations are staying. That was the case with the founders of the Grace Methodist Church. They launched the church in January in Homosassa, Florida, after their previous congregation voted to stay in the UMC. The new church immediately affiliated with the Global Methodist Church. Grace Methodist has been renting a former lodge hall for its services and has already started Bible studies and community outreaches, while also working to attract attendees from their neighborhood. "We're not there just to go to church on Sunday for an hour. We're there to help the community," said member Neil Klein. "The enthusiasm of participants is evident," he said. "They can't wait to get to church, and they don't want to leave." Farmer came out of retirement to serve as the church's pastor. The group's previous congregation was a good church, Farmer said, and he wished it well. But my struggle was with the United Methodist structure, what's going on in the United States particularly. The ongoing schism has been long in the making. The United Methodist Church, with about 6.5 million members in the United States, and at least that many abroad, has long debated its bans on same-sex marriage and the ordination of openly LGBTQ clergy. The denomination has repeatedly upheld the bans, largely through the voting strength of the growing, more conservative churches abroad, but conservatives chose to form a new denomination amid growing defiance of the bans in U.S. churches. More than 3,500 U.S. congregations have received their local conferences permission to disaffiliate from the UMC, according to the United Methodist News Service. With conference season underway, disaffiliations are closing in on 4,000 and could rise even more by the end of this year. said the Reverend J. Terrell, president of the Wesleyan Covenant Association, a conservative group advocating for departing congregations. That's a fraction of the United Methodist 30,000 U.S. churches, though several of the departing congregations are among the largest in their states. Terrell said he had no problem with the lighthouse concept, but renewed his call to allow churches to disaffiliate on reasonable terms. I want everyone to be in the theological home that is their best fit, Terrell said. Certainly, the United Methodist Church is welcome to try to create churches to do that. I hope they would respect traditionalists and allow us to get to the place where we need to be. In the Arkansas Conference, more than 100 churches out of roughly 600 total have received permission to disaffiliate. That leaves part of the state with few or no remaining United Methodist congregations, said the Reverend Michael Roberts, director of the conference's New Restart Initiative, which is hoping to enlist congregations to be beacon churches. Such as churches would invite self-described exiles, refugees, nomads to worship services, help them start home groups, or develop other ways to keep them connected. We're just really simply inviting churches to consider how they can prove this kind of hospitality, Roberts said. I love the word hospitality because the word hospital comes from that word. It is about providing healing. In the Western Pennsylvania Conference, 17 congregations officially became Lighthouse congregations as of May 1. About a third of the estimated 800 churches in the Western Pennsylvania Conference, a sprawling 23-county region, are seeking to have their disaffiliations approved at the conference's June annual meeting, according to the Bishop Cynthia Moore Koikoi. There have been few... How much longer? Hell, I ain't reading this whole... Oh, okay, I'm almost done. Damn. There have been very few votes where it was unanimous, she said. For those in the short end of those votes, sometimes described as pilgrims, the Lighthouse congregation offers places where they can join or just find temporary harbor until they figure out next steps. Now, I'm gonna hang on. Let's back up. Let's break this down. Because there's a lot of blah, 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 blah in there, and I'm telling you, the way they word it, it makes it sound, they keep trying to make it sound like there are just so many people, right? But that is not the case. More than 3,500 U.S. congregations have received their local conferences permission to disaffiliate from the UMC. Okay? That's a fraction of the United Methodist 30,000 U.S. churches. Okay? So you're talking about, again, a fraction. A small number. And so what this amounts to is you've got a ton of, people here, that, no, they can't have it. They can't play by the church's rules that have been ever since it started. And for good reason, because it's rooted word for word in the Bible. Plain and simple. Hey, you can't expect people to act like that doesn't exist just because you want to accept it. It doesn't work that way. That you're not supposed to change the Bible to fit your life. You're supposed to change your life to fit the Bible. And I just can't tell anyone any other way around that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, in some aspects it is. In others it's not. But this is insane, and this is just more of what I have been talking about when I talk about how they are taking away everybody's identity. They act like they're clarifying identities, and that's not the case. They're taking identities, and they're getting people to willingly give them up. all they have to do is, introduce this agenda into whether it be a sport, different types of entertainment, and then people are like, oh hell no. Different brands like Bud Light, people are like, oh hell no. But at the same time that they're boycotting, they're also giving up their identity. And if you look at that over the course of the last several years, and you look at just how much identity that people have given up, it's insane. And nobody's really fighting it. And that's the problem, because it's allowed to push forward. I have a suspicion. I was thinking about this earlier today. I have a suspicion that part of this whole quote-unquote white supremacy threat that we're supposed to be under isn't gonna be so much white supremacy, but more anti-LGBTQ agenda. I have a feeling that if they can pull off what they want, the history books will say it was white supremacy. Just saying. Just saying. You think the history books, the quote-unquote official history books, are accurate about the Civil War? I beg to differ. There's a whole lot of inconsistencies there. So anyway, it's just insane. And I mentioned brands. Here we go. Target stores hit with bomb threats over LGBTQ move. And this is why I mentioned things like the white supremacy thing and all of that, because, could this be genuine? Could this be authentic? Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of wacko nut jobs out there. There's a lot of people that want attention. There's a lot of people that just filled with hate in their heart. Yeah, it's possible. It's also possible it's being put on just to add another layer of fear and give them a little more reason why they need to crack down on anybody that would happen to even consider going against their agenda. Insane. May have a vape or two. Maybe even a sip of tea. Target stores in at least 3 U.S. states have received bomb threats after management removed LGBT... Oh, wait, this is after management removed it. Plot twist. I thought it was the other way around. Target stores, no, I didn't read the article ahead of time. Most of the time I don't. Sometimes I do. If it's something that's, really important, I do. Normally I would read things. I got a couple articles about the strike on Ukraine from Russia last night. Normally I read those, but I didn't today, so. Anywho, let's see. Following a backlash from conservative shoppers, one message accused the retailer of being cowards who turned their back on the LGBT community. So who is the terrorist then? I don't know. Target is full of redacted cowards, I'm sure it didn't say redacted, who turned their back on the LGBT community and decided to cater to the homophobic right-wing redneck bigots who protested and vandalized their store, read an anonymous message sent to Cleveland 19 News on Friday. We won't stand idly by as the far right continues to hunt us down, the message continued, with the author claiming to have planted explosives in 4 Target stores in Ohio and 1 in Pennsylvania. Similar threats were made to 4 Target stores in Utah, and at least 1 store in the state was evacuated, KUTV reported. No explosives were found at any location, and police in Ohio determined that the threat was a hoax. Officers in Ohio and Utah are currently trying to establish the identity of the culprit. You really think? You really think? You better be on your game if you think that you can even go get a burner phone and get away with doing this without them being able to figure out. Hope you're driving an old car, too. Just saying. The controversy began when Target stocked its shelves with LGBTQ merchandise ahead of the Pride Month in June. Among the items introduced were tuck-friendly swimsuits, female swimsuits with an extra pouch and crotch space to allow men to conceal their the sweatshirts and bags reading "Cure Transphobia" and "Not Trans People" and "Too Queer for Here." The tuck-friendly swimsuits were ridiculed online by conservatives. You notice how they keep saying conservatives? This isn't they do everything they can to make it a political thing. It's really not. There are definitely, you can see political lines on this, but what you're not seeing is the silent majority. The ones that aren't speaking up and speaking out. And there's a whole hell of a lot more of them than there are all of us combined. A whole lot. And those folks, I'm telling you, the majority of them, they're not good with it either. They don't want to get involved. They just want to stay, they don't want any involvement in it. They just want to stay out. And I respect that. I encourage people to be aware. And, I encourage that at some point that they do make a decision, one way or another, as to where they're going to stand. Because not doing so will be more likely to lead to an actual civil conflict. I can't sit here and say that, it's absolutely impossible. There's no chance at all that it could happen in the United States. I can't say that. It's not only happened here before, but it's all too common in many, many other countries, even now. I'm not one of those guys that is foolish enough to say it could never happen here. That's a whole hell of a lot of people's famous last words. It's crazy, and again, I have to say, I thought that was going to be the other way. I thought that the claim was going to be that the conservatives were the ones that did this. But the thing that blows my mind is that this would be glossed over. This will be completely glossed over. And even from conservative media, it'll be completely glossed over. It's insane. So I said that Ukraine had a significant hit last night. That indeed they did. Holy cow. Oh, Blue quit. Oh, I've got the wrong thing open, sorry. So, Blue's losing her shit over the black cat that just walked through the yard, up on her porch and through the yard. She's acting like a freak with that tail's wagging a mile a minute. He probably just wants to play with the cat. And I don't mean like in the way a lot of people would mean. No, probably seriously just wants to play with the cat. She loves animals. But she doesn't know how to say that she loves animals. All she's got is freak and sounds like she's going to chew your face off. So, that's all. That's all the bark she got. She don't have a, I'm happy to see you bark. Nothing. She's got a, I'm going to eat you bark. That's it. Let's see. Hey. Anyway. Ukraine hit by one of the largest Russian drone attacks, says Zelensky. Russia conducted one of the most massive drone attacks on Ukraine to date, President Vladimir Zelensky said on Sunday evening, amid media reports of explosions across the country. Moscow's Ministry of Defense has yet to comment on the matter. In a statement on Telegram, Zelensky said, "Today, our country went through one of the largest Russian attacks by Shaheds, 54 drones at a time," referring to the kamikaze UAVs which Western countries and Kiev claim were provided by Russia, or provided to Russia by Iran. Tehran has denied that it supplied Moscow with drones during the conflict. The Kremlin has said that it only uses Russian-made weapons in Ukraine. The Ukrainian president claimed that almost all of the drones had been shot down, while adding that unfortunately there were some hits in Zhytomyr region in the central part of the country. Earlier, Vitaly Boshenko, the head of the local administration, said Russia conducted a strike on an infrastructure facility in the region. He did not provide further details on the explosion, but noted that there were no casualties. Zelensky went on to say that the most powerful strike was aimed at the Kiev region, claiming that 36 drones had been shot down in the area. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm reading news, yo. We're gonna have Russia's reply next. So I don't take sides. Like, I'm pretty sure the good book says that killing is wrong. So I can't take a side either way. But I damn sure am not even going to come close to defending the piece of crap Zelensky. So, I don't take sides on the conflict, but as human beings, as individuals, I have far much more respect for Putin. So, it is what it is. Putin's not a Nazi piece of crap. So, anyway, let's see. His comments echoed an earlier statement by Kiev's military administration, which said this was the most massive drone attack on the capital since the start of the conflict more than a year ago, resulting in at least one person dead and 2 others injured. He added that several buildings were damaged and one warehouse caught fire. Now, see, Ukraine never even comes close to reporting accurately as to the strike that they had undertaken. And anytime they talk about the missiles they shot down, it's like so greatly exaggerated. I mean, they make claims that they've taken down several hypersonic missiles, and that's not possible. Just not possible. Ukrainian airfields hit by Russian strikes, says Moscow. It says Russian forces launched multiple high-accuracy strikes on Ukrainian military airfields overnight from Sunday to Monday, the Defense Ministry in Moscow has said. The attacks hit Ukrainian command posts, radar stations, and aircraft, as well as weapons and ammunition storage depots, the ministry claimed. The exact targets or the extent of the damage was not disclosed. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said on Sunday evening that Russia had launched one of the largest drone attacks to date. Ukrainian media reported explosions across the country, although Kiev claimed that almost all the drones had been shot down. Officials in Ukraine's western, I couldn't pronounce that region, said on Monday that a military target had been hit in a Russian attack. The authorities described the site as a facility rather than an airfield, but said at least 5 aircraft had been disabled, adding that a runway required repairs as a result of the strike. They also said that other objects in the area had been hit. The Russian Defense Ministry confirmed that several major Ukrainian ammunition depots and military equipment storage sites had been struck close to the front lines in Lugansk and Donetsk People's Republics, as well as the Kherson region. Over the past 24 hours, Russian forces have also intercepted 3 Storm Shadow cruise missiles supplied to Kiev by the UK and 13 HIMARS projectiles, the ministry said. Russia increased its missile and drone attacks on Ukrainian military and energy infrastructure after the bombing. Goes into the history after the bridge. But anyway. So, I think he's asking you. I think he's asking you whether or not the DC Zoo. But no, St. Louis. She went to St. Louis Zoo. I think you're going to continue to see Russia ramp things up, and I'm going to continue to say what I've been saying. I think that this conflict is going to be wrapped up probably around sometime in the fall. It's gonna do one of two things. They're gonna get it wrapped up sometime around fall, or it's gonna break out into a global conflict. One of the two things. I am not gonna even pretend to know what Putin would do. You know, I don't know the guy. I don't have conversations with him. But I know everybody's got the point to where they say, okay, no more. And I don't know what that point is for Putin. I mean, of course, via the media, there had been so many red lines crossed dozens of times over by now. But what that really hard line is, don't know. And I don't necessarily think that it would just be the United States parking missiles into the neighboring countries. I think that their red line, I think Putin's red line is going to be sometime before that point. I honestly couldn't tell you in 1962. I'm not super good on history. There were some cool cars that the United States built in 1962, so other than that, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. The reason I was speaking about red lines is because of this article here. Russian forces will react to F-16 deliveries, says Lavrov. Okay. So you're going to react. How? You're going to send a Chinese spy balloon over us, or are you going to give us a tongue lashing, or are you going to launch a nuke? Because, I mean, anyway, yeah, 't the article might tell us, huh? Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay. Yeah. That was a bit of a tense moment. What did we do then? Well, there's conflicting reports on that, because the official report says that nobody pushed any buttons. But, the desk diving. I thought you were talking about the event itself. There's conflicting reports about the event itself. There are some claims that there were buttons pushed and nothing happened. So I don't know. Couldn't say. I wasn't there. But I find it very interesting. And there is evidence with some claims as to what happened. So I'm not going to get all into that. I will say that it does involve UFOs, and that's all I'll say. It wasn't just the United States. It was, from my understanding, multiple countries. And when I say multiple, I mean U.S. and Russia. And from my understanding, both nations pushed buttons and nothing happened. That's what I've heard. So, I don't know. I wasn't there. Could it just be a crazy conspiracy theory? Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't there. But, you know. What you're saying with the F-16s? If they... Nah. I mean, he doesn't have to. Why? Because he can swat them out of the sky like flies. I mean, that can be his response. Swat them out of the sky like flies, and then go blow the shit out of wherever they're bringing them in. So that's what I expect Putin will do. So I think that's what a lot of Putin's doing right now. You know, like taking out the ammo depots and stuff like that. That's what he's doing now. All this military equipment that's being, you know, funneled into Ukraine, I have a distinct feeling that Putin knows where this military equipment's coming in at, and he's just blowing the hell out of it. I mean, I don't think most of the equipment even gets a chance to go to combat. So, and I think that's the truth of the situation of what's happening in Ukraine, from what I can tell. Yeah, F-16s are really, really old, and although they have been nicely outfitted with you know, very modern electronics, and it's not that they're not feasible at all in combat, but not as a main role. Certainly not as a main role. For one, their electronics packages aren't advanced nearly enough. They have no stealth capability. I mean, yeah, just not a good, just not a good fit. Especially when you've got, for sure, S-400s and stuff like that hanging around, and I'm sure S-500s and very possibly S-550s. So, oh no, they wouldn't stand a chance against their modern aircraft. They wouldn't even come close. Not even come close. You know, F-16s were cool in their day, but it's not their day anymore. I'm a big fan of the F-22 myself, but I also have very high respect for Russian aircraft, French aircraft, even Chinese aircraft. I love aircraft, so I flew a bunch of different aircraft in the simulator today. It was awesome. Some old stuff, some new stuff, fun times. Let's see. Article here says Russian military has the means to respond to Western fighter jet deliveries to Kiev. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has warned, as he criticized Denmark and the Netherlands for planning to train Ukrainian pilots. The comments came after Pentagon Chief Lloyd Austin said the two European countries would be helping to prepare Kiev's forces to fly U.S.-made F-16 jets. Speaking at a press conference in Kenya on Monday, Lavrov stated that the actions of Denmark and the Netherlands were driven by their desire to please the hegemon. In European affairs and European forums, these countries are actively pursuing Washington's lines first and foremost, Lavrov stated. When asked to specify what Russia's reaction would be to Western jet deliveries to Kiev, Lavrov said he had no doubt that our armed forces have the ability to react to this without providing specific details. On Sunday, Lavrov also suggested that the U.S. and its allies were playing with fire by doubling down on their support for Kiev and called for the West's plans to deliver F-16s an unacceptable escalation. I don't think there are reasonable people in the West who understand this, but everything is being dictated by Washington, London, and their satellites inside the EU, the minister told Russia One TV channel. Kiev has repeatedly pressed its Western backers to provide F-16 warplanes, arguing that they are crucial for defending Ukrainian airspace. While the U.S. for months refused to entertain the idea, Washington has recently reassessed its position regarding the fighter jets. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan told CNN last Sunday that the U.S. had decided to help Kiev procure the jets, but had not yet decided on how and by whom they would be delivered. Sullivan also claimed that the planes would only serve as a defensive purpose and would not be used to strike Russian territory. Moscow has repeatedly warned that deliveries of more sophisticated weapons to Ukraine only serve to escalate the fighting. Russia has also argued that the provision of arms, intelligence sharing, and training to Kiev makes Western nations de facto parties to the conflict. So, I really don't think it's going to change much, other than possibly, again, whether or not it crosses that line. What would he do? I don't know. I mean, obviously, we know they'd knock him out of the air. I don't know why they have any kind of a even dream about gaining air superiority, because that's just nonsense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to gain air superiority over that. But, it is what it is. I mean, you just have to take a look at what's happening, Once in a while, Ukraine gets in a missile, to even Russian territory at times. However, they're not big hits, they're not widespread, and it's just when they get lucky. There's a whole lot of weapons being knocked out of the air by Russia. A whole lot. And Ukraine can't get anywhere. So to think that they're going to be able to put up a plane that it's going to do better than what those missiles are doing and the drones are doing, that is a plane that has no stealth capability. Yeah. I'm not quite sure how far they'd even get from the runway, to be honest. So, just saying. I don't think Putin's gonna play much. I don't know if that's gonna be like a serious red line, but it's definitely gonna be enough of a red line to make him put his boot down a little harder. That's for sure. This is an interesting headline. YouTube. I'm reading an article. No healthy young adults died of COVID-19 in Israel, says data. Huh. Well, that's an interesting headline. I'm not going to dare try to read the article. I hope I don't get in trouble for the headline. But what can you say? How many of us was trying to say this, but, we couldn't? Still can't. Oh yeah, there's yeah. Dude, I am known for long saying that even this whole nuclear threat thing is silliness, because that's like sticks and stones at this point. So yeah. Let's see. text of U.S. debt ceiling bill released. And I'm not gonna read this headline or read this article because it doesn't deserve my time. It just doesn't. I say it every time that this comes up. But they get everybody all freaking out. Oh my goodness, we're not going to be able to fix the roads. Libraries I have to close down. We'll have to turn off the stoplight cameras. Insane. Anyway, the United States is happy for another 4 years of thank you, sir, may I have another? And that's what they're going to be going and voting in another year. Thank you, sir, may I have another? Oh, it's just insane what's all going on. That sounded like it was probably a pretty cool vehicle. I'm not sure what it was. Couldn't make it out. Looked kind of like Jeepish, though. Let's see. I'm not going to read that nonsense. It's just insane. Yeah, I don't remember what all was said. I've watched a few videos about this, but I haven't read the bill. None of it matters. In the end, it doesn't matter. And that's what I keep telling folks, you know. I tell Jen, you know, once in a while she gets a little concerned with stuff that goes on in the world. And it's like, that's why we do what we do. That's our airbag. That's, you know, that's our parachute. That's why we do it. You know? I don't want to have to worry about it. I don't want to have to wonder what I'm going to do. I want at least several months that I don't have to rely on getting food and supplies somewhere else. I want some time, some buffer to get things put in place, get things going, get things in order the best I can. We're probably about 6 months now, food storage. But I don't, to be honest, even know if that'll be enough. So, yeah, I've also heard a lot of people say that this won't get through. So, it is what it is. My opinion is let it default. So I'm not scared of default. I think it would be the best damn thing that could happen to this country. But not saying it would be pretty, but it might be necessary. So usually necessary things aren't pretty. Right on. I hear you. Yep. Our bowel fangs are always ready. Within 5 seconds, I could have one. I could have both of ours in my hands and ready to go. Literally, 5 seconds, I could do it. Oh man. All right. Got some headlines for the Times. And not a lot of good ones. In fact, there's probably not any good ones. There rarely ever is. Turkish-made drones disappeared from Ukrainian skies, says media. Imagine that. Yep, I hear you there. Let's see. Bangladesh open to buying Russian oil. Oh, there it is. U.S. contact lens maker to suspend Russia supplies. Johnson & Johnson is the company. Kosovo PM dreams of becoming new Zelensky, says Vucic. Saudi Arabia calls Russia out over oil output, says Wall Street Journal. Musk's Tesla becomes world's best-selling car. China plans manned moon mission by the end of decade. A U.S. senator denies calling Russian deaths a good investment. Union Pay overtakes Visa in global debit card market, says Nielsen report. A dollar will retain dominance for decades, says Moody's. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't think it's got many years, no less decades. Putin finalizes withdrawal from landmark arms control deal. Let's see, covered those and that. Sanctions on Russian diamonds put 1 million jobs at risk, says the media. Ukrainian airfields hit by Russian... covered that one. Victorious Erdogan promises to fulfill pledge to Putin. Tech CEO issues warning to AI defiers. Annexing Kharkov, only way to stop Ukrainian attacks, says Belgorod governor. Let's see. American teens benefiting from labor shortages, says AP. Russian senator calls for Chinese-style internet firewall. Pretty sure Russia has something similar. 0 healthy young adults. Oh, I covered that one. Just repeating it will get me in trouble twice with YouTube. Let's see. Biden planning new China crackdown, says media. I'm pretty sure they got the headline wrong. It was probably something to do with Hunter Biden and crack. But anyway, potato, potato. 50 injured as NATO troops clash with Serb demonstrators. A major Russian city bans foreign language signs. NATO troops brawl with Serbs. Good times, I'm sure. That's insane. That is just insane. I'm not a fan of NATO anywhere. Anti-Target rap hits number 2 on iTunes. I didn't even know there was an anti-Target rap. Gonna have to listen to that after the show. I'm curious. Anyway. I mean, how do you even do an anti... I gotta hear it. Let's see. Ukraine forced to import energy from EU states. 31 billionaires are worth more than the U.S. Treasury. Russia's Crimea to auction off property of Ukraine's oligarch ex-president. And lastly, EU threatens to ban Twitter. So, insane, insane, insane. Anyway, wow. I almost made it a perfect hour. I think I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to get the hell out of here, and I'm going to go crash. I will, God willing, see all you folks tomorrow. So I appreciate you coming tonight. Hope you have a good evening. Hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you all. We love you all. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.